So today I'm reviewing the Porsche Cayenne. Alright, and the car that I am driving here for this review is the base 3-liter V6 model, priced at 795,000 ringgit base price lah. So where this specific car is concerned, alright, according to the info that I have been given by Porsche, this car has 135,000 ringgit worth of options. So when you put that in an on-road price, right, the car that you see for this review, right, is past 900,000 ringgit. Now, let me just quickly explain the way Porsche prices its cars in Malaysia. So for our market, right, what Porsche typically do is that they will price a car, right? They will set a base price of the car according to a certain level of minimum specification, all right, with a certain minimum. Then, all right, as they stock the cars up, right, let's say this base Cayenne model, then each car, they will take a series of few options that will tick, and they will have a variety. All right, so different units will have different prices based on the equipment that the people sitting in Glenmary, have ticked for that particular car. Okay, so you as the customer, when you walk into a Porsche showroom and you buy your car, you will be presented with a few types of, a few selection of possible specs. All right, that okay, we have in stock these few cars with this kind of equipment. What do you like? If none of them tickle your fancy, then you have the freedom of speccing a car to your preference. But that comes with additional waiting time, because that means that they have to order the car according to what you want, based on what you want, and they have to put an order. The factory will have to queue your order. All right, and typically, based on what I've observed, whatever car that they stock up in our market, right, typically will have senang 80 to 100,000 or 100 plus thousand worth of options specced into the car one, because simply put, nobody is going to want any of these cars at the base price kind of equipment one. It is just too bare. All right, so that is the reality of it. And yeah, so here we have this base 3-liter V6, 795,000 ringgit base price. Now, this 3-liter V6 in this base Cayenne here, it is based on the previous generation engine. And if you upgrade to the Cayenne S, you get the more powerful, and according to many reviewers, far better 2.9-liter V6 twin turbo. This 3-liter V6 is a single turbo engine. All right, the 2.9 is a twin turbo with significantly higher outputs. So yeah, and as a result, all right, many people come to regard this 3-liter V6 as something of a stepchild of the range. But is that a fair assessment? Well, simply put, there are no two ways about it. The 2.9-liter twin turbo is the newer engine, punchier engine, better outputs, right? All around, it is just a far superior engine. But that superiority comes at a price, because going from this to the Cayenne S is a 160,000 ringgit jump. Yeah, the price gap is 160,000 ringgit. So, I mean, if you are in the market shopping for a Cayenne, 160,000 ringgit should be a premium that you can afford, right? That shouldn't be a problem. But now, of course, we want to look at it is, do you want to spend that 160,000 ringgit to upgrade yourself to the 2.9-liter V6, or do you want to spend your 160 ringgit on something else? Maybe buy this 3-liter V6 Cayenne and have that 160,000 ringgit to spare on few holidays or another car for that matter. So to start off with okay, this 3-liter V6 is not without merits. What I can tell you is that the sensations of this engine, it does feel a little old school in that you have to rev it to get to extract the best performance out of it, right? It has to, this engine needs to be worked a bit harder in order to get going. But make no mistake, this is not slow. It is not a slow engine, all right? It's just that compared to the 2.9, if you're accustomed to the punch of the 2.9, this 3-liter V6 needs a bit more effort to get going, all right? But I do like the linearity of its power delivery, all right? And I think that, you know, sometimes, right, you just want that joy of pulling the revs of your engine, and this 3-liter V6 still has that old school, you know, feel about it, that creaminess, right, as you sweep the tachometer from 0 to 6,000 RPM. Yeah, and it's because the power delivery is linear, all right, there are more occasions where you can enjoy pinning your foot on the throttle for longer periods of time. Because of its linearity, it is less scary to deploy the full power of this engine on open roads, right? And so recently, also the other thing is that recently I've driven the Maserati Levante, and well, the Levante comparatively to this, at first glance, you may consider the Levante as, hey, as one of the key rivals of this Cayenne. Certainly, Maserati people have been very keen to draw comparisons between this and the Levante. The Levante, of course, as available in Malaysia, it is priced lower, all right, compared to the Cayenne here. Once you load it up with all the goodies, so comparatively, the Levante is a far sportier SUV, all right. The dynamics of the Levante in terms of its, you know, the chassis, the agility of the chassis in directional changes, the Levante is just that bit more agile and more fleet-footed when you are in the mood to drive hard. And also, the Levante's engine does a better job at tingling your senses than this 3-liter V6. This 3-liter V6 sometimes, yeah, it can feel a little distant the way it revs. It's smooth, but sometimes it's a little distant. Whereas the Levante's V6 actually it makes you feel alive when you drive it. Now, but comparing the relative strengths and weaknesses between these two, right? The Cayenne here has a far greater emphasis on day-to-day usability and comfort. See, when I reviewed the Levante, one of my observations was that the Levante does sportiness very, very well, and it does comfort and refinement reasonably okay, that it is a passable day-to-day driver, right? The Cayenne, the scope of abilities, there's a bigger compromise between the two. So you know that, you know, when you drive this over say Oakland Road or Jalan Puchong, the Cayenne here is just that more plush, right? It feels there is genuine plushness in its ride, all right, that really makes this a more appealing day-to-day driver if you compare this to the harder hitting Levante. The Levante is more engaging, it's more it is definitely a sportier car. I would say that if you were to take it on a mountain, you know, like Uluyam or or Genting run, right, the Levante definitely will be the one that emboldens you to drive it faster and drive it harder. Whereas the Cayenne here, it is the SUV, it is perhaps the better car to use on a day-to-day basis. Okay guys, so you can see right now it's very heavily jammed here on Federal Highway, and so right here in the Cayenne, so this is where another aspect of the Cayenne's what you call it, capabilities come to the fore, where you come to appreciate its refinement, its the linearity of its 3-liter V6 now suddenly becomes greatly appreciated. Alright, because you see, the thing is that in this kind of driving conditions, sportiness really no longer matters. What you really want now is a car that will gently amble along, you know, with a minimum of jerks and just feel very, very smooth, very, very pleasant, don't give you any fuss whatsoever, right? So yeah, this is where the Cayenne really feels like a refined and very pleasant SUV. Now the other thing I want to talk about is that the auto start stop of this car. It is now driving in normal mode. The auto start stop system is, I would say, very proactive in that it kills the engine even though it is even before the car comes to a full stop. So right now I'm doing 8 kilometers per hour, slowing down to 7, 6, 5. Maybe the temperature outside is a bit hot, but earlier on when the weather was well less hot, right? Yeah, there were a few instances where the engine shut down even before the car came to a full stop. Okay, so I would say that the damping of noises as well as vibrations from the start-stop cycle, yeah, very, very nicely done. All right, you don't feel really the vibrations and noise. You only know the engine is killed simply because you suddenly feel the sudden cut off in power delivery, and B, you notice that the tachometer has dropped to 0, and also the steering suddenly lose its assistance. Right, so yeah, they got the auto start stop working in a very refined fashion. But, alright, here's the but. The question now becomes 5-10 years down the road, as you know, as all your engine mountings wear off, alright, due to this repeated start-stop cycle, how smooth will it still be at that point in time? You don't know, but right now as a new car, it feels smooth lah. It feels smooth, it feels very well damped. Okay guys, so right now I'm in Mont Kiara, where, well, traffic is not very heavy, alright, and I'm gonna gun this. Yeah, so this engine is not slow, but neither is it that edge of your pants kind of engine that is hard hitting every time when you floor the throttle. This one, the pickup of speed is, well, it's rather linear. It is more progressive. It has that kind of old school feeling where you need to work your engine in order to get its performance. It is not like modern day turbo engines, or should I say, it is not like the 2.9 liter twin turbo that serves you all its grunt on a silver platter. You want this thing to go fast, you need to take the effort, put your foot down and coax the performance out. On one hand, yeah, you know, those of you who are more accustomed to harder hitting engines may find this underwhelming, but there is also the aspect that this kind of character is far easier to live with on a day-to-day basis. It's far less it is also far less scary to put your foot down when you're driving in traffic. So this base Cayenne here, it may carry the Porsche name, alright, but make no mistake that this does not prioritize sportiness in the way you may expect it to. Alright, it is a fast SUV, not very fast by today's standards, but fast enough if you're ready to coax the engine. It is dynamic, it is agile, not as sporty, it is not outright sporty like the Levante, alright, but if you want to get it to string together a series of fast corners, it can. But what the Cayenne here, it does well, is that Porsche has made this a car that is very usable on a day-to-day basis. Alright, in fact, you may want to think of this as something like a lighter version of the Bentley Bentayga, in that it is first and foremost a comfortable SUV that happens to do a fair degree of enthusiastic driving well enough if you want it to be. But it should be, and it has to be treated first and foremost as a luxury SUV rather than a sporting SUV.